Well, as you can see behind me, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm in Schenley Park, where actually the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix is about to be here. That's one of the reasons I'm here. But the other reason is to play a round of disc golf. I'm going to show you what I throw and why I throw it, and talk about the game of disc golf and some of the techniques and how these discs fly and which ones you want to use and why. Let's get started at Schenley Park Disc Golf Course. Number one on a hill and up through a bunch of trees. It says it's about 198 feet, so let's see. Okay, so the Crank SS got me roughly 25 feet from the basket, so I got to putt uphill. I'm just going to look straight at the basket, make sure I give it some spin, throw it hard, and if I'm psyched out by the basket, just pretend you're throwing to a friend. Okay, wrapping up number one. I threw my Crank SS. It's a speed 13 disc. What does speed mean? Well, that's the speed and power you need to throw with to get the disc to do what it's supposed to do. 13 is pretty high. Putters are in the very low range, up to say number 3 to 6 in there are mid-range approaches, 6 to 9 fairway control drivers, and then 10 on up to 14 and 15. I think they have 15 discs. Those are discs that are super maximum distance drivers, and that's this one for me. Now this was only 200 feet, but that being said, I don't have a 350-foot arm. Back in the day, 20 years ago, I might have had a 300-foot arm. That's about it. Right now, 280, 285 max for me. So don't listen to what other players are throwing. It's all about you and your abilities. Start with a mid-range. I have plenty of videos out there about throwing mid-ranges, and you should learn to play with a mid-range, play the whole course with a mid-range and a putter, and then you will really learn these discs. Even if it's 1,000 feet, go out there and play them with mid-ranges. That being said, here we are with the Crank SS. And what does speed mean? The speed with which you need to throw it? Well, this is hyzer for a forehand, right-hand player like me. If you're right-hand, backhand, this is hyzer. Flip it up, that's anhyzer. You'll see a lot of people throwing discs like this that are too fast for them, and they compensate by throwing like this. There are times you want to do that, but for the most part, if you start off with a mid-range or a lower number disc, say 6 and under, maybe a leopard, maybe up to 7 or so, then that is the way you want to start and learn the game. So the proper speed for throwing a disc and getting the disc to do what it should do, in this case, this is a stable disc, maybe a bit overstable. And when you throw it with hyzer, it might hyzer flip up a bit and then stay straight and then fade off. That's what you want this disc to do. Or if you're going for a dog leg, you want it to turn right, and you give it a lot of hyzer, and it should maybe straighten up a little but still turn very right. Overstable discs for a forehand flick, they will tend to curve back right. Overstable discs for right hand, backhand, you try to throw them like this, are going to curve off that way. So, speed, that's the first number. The second number that you see is glide. That's how much the disc will glide in the wind. Obviously, you don't want your putters gliding too much because they'll be controlled by the wind too much. So a lower glide rating is good for a putter. But you'll see glide ratings of 4 and 5, and that's good because they can give you gliding distance and let the wind carry them a bit. The third number is the turn. What does turn mean? Well, that's the understable, overstable nature of the disc. A negative disc, if I throw it with right hand, forehand flick, negative disc like -3 or -4, a super understable disc, that means flippy. It's going to turn over. So sometimes my most flippy discs, I can throw them with a lot of hyzer you're still going to turn over, make a nice S curve, and fade back. So if you get that S curve pattern for forehand flick, or for the right hand backhand, if you get the disc to turn over, turn a little right there and fade back to the left, that's what you want an understable disc to do. You're throwing it correctly. If you're not, lower the number of discs that you're throwing, the first number. Throw a mid-range, throw your putters, learn to make these discs do what they're designed to do, and you will go a long way in this game. Okay, so what did I do with the Crank SS? I threw it with some hyzer because I wanted to get around and maybe up the hill a bit. Came a bit short, turned too much, and I was able to make that putt with my 86 putter. This is an 86 softy. I just got another one. It cost me a lot of money because this is a very old disc, 1990, and soft and it's flexible, and I like that. You can get soft wizards and other soft gummy discs these days if you want. What I suggest is not to throw something like this. I love it because I've had it so long and I know how to throw it. But it's nice to get 5 putters and throw every one of them and practice your putting. As I said, you just aim at the middle of the basket right there, and you want to just gun it. You want to throw it just like it's a person waiting to catch it there. In rare instances like this one, sometimes you might want to hold up a little bit, throw a little high, let it drop, because there is a steep drop off behind this basket. So in that case, you probably don't want to throw super hard if you're not very confident. But I was able to go ahead and get the birdie here and finish off number 1 in 2 strokes. That being said, I'm out here shooting a video. I throw lots of discs. I do make some birdies, but lots of times I'll show a birdie and it's not a birdie. Maybe I would have really made it in 3, 4. Anyway, disc golf is a very hard game. You're not going to come out here and get birdies all the time, aces, and sometimes you're going to play over par. It doesn't matter. If you play a round of 9 and you play that round in 35 strokes, try to get 34 strokes the next time. It's not a big deal. Disc golf is a game. Of course, you can play against your friends and people you're competing with, but really compete with yourself. That's where the fun is. Get better, learn the game, throw farther, throw better, throw more accurately, and putt very well. And this game is very, very fun. When you make your first ace, nothing like that feeling. You'll love this game forever. And it will remind you on days when you're not hitting anything to keep playing. Another couple quick tips before we go to number 2. Definitely count the discs in your bag before you start. And also bring a towel in case it's wet or muddy so you can clean the discs off. Also bring plenty of water. Okay, number 2, 297 feet. Downhill and then uphill. And that's a long way for me. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, the sidewinder left me a good distance away. Probably 90 feet uphill. It's tough. All right, the Crank SS. That was my approach disc. Gave me a nice, good run at it, almost, but had to settle for the par there with the drop in for the 3rd stroke. And my driver. This is the Innova Sidewinder. 9, 5, -3, and 1. 9 is the speed, so it's the high end of a control driver. 5 is the glide, so it's got good glide. -3 means gives you a lot of turnover, and the 1 means there's very little fade at the end. So I was able to just basically throw it right towards the basket, let it turn over, do its thing, and then fade off at the end, setting me up for the flick with the Crank SS. I threw that with a lot of hyzer. I was trying to curve it around and in the basket, but not this time, but still. Remember, I did the drive with my Crank SS and the approach too. Very versatile disc for me. Again, most people would not tell you to make an approach putt with a disc like the Crank SS, but I don't have a lot of power in my right-hand backhand. Sometimes I'll throw that distance, but not uphill. So I went with a flick, my Crank SS, because I knew it would fade very predictably, and that's what I did, and ended up with a good par here on number 2, 297 feet. On to the next one. Number 3. Look at it. Just 129 feet away. Looks so easy, doesn't it? This is what you call an ace run, because it's very possible to ace these. Let's see what happens. See, disc golf looks easy, doesn't it? Thought I was going to ace it, didn't you? No. Have to settle for a birdie attempt here. But I threw my Cobra, and I have a whole video on the Cobra. It's a mid-range. You can do anything with this disc, so check out that video. But it tends to turn over, understable, mid-range. Just go right at your target. That's what you want here. You can also putt with it sometimes too, but I don't really recommend it because it's got a lot of glide to it. Number 4, 159 feet. Looks easy, but it is a bit uphill, and you do have those trees in the way that can be easier to hit than you think they can. Top tip here, don't look at the trees. Look straight through the fairway. Okay, the Beast. Definitely a flippy disc for me. Throw it with some hyzer, let it turn over, and then fade back towards your target, hopefully. It's a speed 10, 5 glide, -2 for the turn, and a 2 fade. So it's got some turn and some fade, which gives it a definite nice S pattern. Got me 15 feet from the basket. Number 5, 213 feet, but you've got some definite problem trees over here. So you want to make sure you hang out this way and maybe fade back. That's hard to do with a forehand flick. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so my DX R Pro Boss, 13.5, -1, and 3. That means it should have a bit of turnover and then a nice fade at the end. And this one tends to be more flippy for me because it's broken in. DX plastic is really entry level, but for me, I like the way these discs that are made out of DX plastic, I like the way they break in. Once they get broken in, they tend to be more understable, more flippy, more predictable in my mind. So I like them. They can get too worn in, and you'll have to get rid of them. So it's a good idea to get backups of the discs that you like. Buy the same disc, buy the same weight. And that way, you're pretty sure to have a good replacement if it does get too flippy on you eventually. So, R Pro Boss turned over nicely, went towards the basket, got an interesting roll also after the fade, and left me only about 12 feet away. Number 3 here looks a little easier than it is. It's only 150 feet, but there's a lot of problem trees in the way, and it is uphill the entire way. Okay, my trusty Viking got me around and through those trees and about 10 feet from the basket. I've got a whole video on the Viking. It's a great disc, and this one's in DX plastic like I was just talking about, so check out that video for more on what the Viking does. On to the next one. 7 is up beyond this clump of trees and down the hill a little bit, totally blind. You can't see it at all from the basket, 153 feet. So you just have to use your best judgment. Well, a little bit of luck there got me through the clearing with my Halo Air. This one is a staple of my bag. Tends to be overstable for me, which means it is going to fade off. But I made sure to throw it as flat as I could and just let it go ahead and fade around the area to the basket here, and it worked out beautifully. Only about 8 feet away from the basket. On to the next one.
Number 8, you can just see it through there. Lot of tricky trees on the way, and 201 feet. Well, my tried and true Crank SS, thought I would be a little bit closer, but I guess the tree got in the way. Still, probably about a 25-foot putt or so. Anything above 33 feet is outside of 10 meters and outside of the circle, and that means you can jump putt. But not the case here. You cannot jump when you putt. Not my style anyway. Hole 9, just 126 feet, but it's totally uphill. Tough one to hit.
Okay, Discraft Express, and I threw it with a fair bit of hyzer because I wanted it to sneak through and around the trees and up the hill, and that's what it did. A little bit too far, but maybe about 15 feet.
Number 10 here, very short, just 147 feet, but downhill, and if you go too far, you're in trouble.
Just a little soft flick with my Cobra here because look at that hill back there. You don't want to go too far on something like this. Play it cautiously. The putt's a little scary, but at least you can control the putt. Still about 15 feet away. And it's certainly a dangerous putt, like I said.
Number 11, 168 feet. Seems a little longer than that, but I guess it's right. And definitely some trouble trees along the way, no question.
The dart is a putter, kind of also an approach, not really a mid-range, a light mid-range I call it, and just gave it a good flick. Tends to turn over a bit for me, the understable, but didn't give it a lot of power, so it faded and left me about 16, 17 feet from the basket. On to the next one.
12 is across the path here and a little bit uphill with lots of trees in the way too. Just 138 feet.
Okay, my definitely favorite driver, Crank SS, just got me straight there. Holds the line for me perfectly, and it's gotten more and more understable as I've thrown it, hit trees and things like that, but just love the way it throws. I have a backup just in case, but that reminds me, write your name and phone number on all your discs. That way you'll get them back.
Number 13, lots of trees. Not sure if I'm playing this from white or blue here. 219 or 270 feet.
Okay, the Banshee got me through a lot of the trouble, but still, pretty long putt. Outside of the circle, which means 10 meters, 33 feet. That means you can jump if you want to when you putt. I don't jump putt, it's not my style, so I'm just gonna see what I can do here. I imagine this is 40 to 50 feet right here.
Number 14, I'm playing from the white tee here. It's downhill and lots of trees. So you got to stick to the fairway or luck your way through somehow. Red tee's there, but I think the white is more interesting.
Discraft Express with some hyzer. Just let it get on down the mountain and skip a little bit, and I'm parked. So there you go. The harder you throw that, it really doesn't matter. It actually goes very, very straight. Discraft Express. don't have the numbers printed on it. That's a good straight disc for my own. Again, don't listen to your friends because their arms are different. Go to a field, practice, and see what discs work for you and which ones don't, and trade them with your friends if they don't work for you.
Hole 15, but you can barely see the basket there. It says 117 feet. Not so sure about that. Might be the one that's slightly longer. But problem trees, and you've got to go over this way, which for the forehand flick is tough. It's easier for the right hand backhand. Naturally fade off that way. Let's see how we can make this work. The Viking tends to be a flippy disc for me, which means when I throw it, it flips over. So I threw it with a bit of anhyzer and made sure that it faded left at the end. I have a whole video on the Viking. I really like it. It's a great disc. And now there's a tree directly in my way. Don't ever look at trees. You want to look down the fairway, not at the trees, not at the obstacles, and just ignore them altogether. Of course, your stance can be adjusted to get you around objects. There's a piece of paper right here, 8.5 by 11. Basically, you can stand as far back as that behind your disc. But you're supposed to be right here, and then you can pivot. No closer to the basket. Well, 16 red is just a little chip shot, 102 feet, so I'm going to do something I never do. I'm going to throw right hand backhand. Okay, so I threw my putter, and you can see why I don't throw it all the time. I ended up downhill and about 20 feet away, not even. '17 is hidden down on a hill, and you got to get by all these trees too. Only 128 feet though, it says. These distances, by the way, are to the center of the green, it says, so you might not necessarily be accurate. Sidewinder with some hyzer got me around those obstacle trees and a little ways down the hill, but can't complain about this putt. Maybe 12 feet uphill. Remember, you're going uphill, so give it a little bit of extra force. To finish it off, it's about 180 feet uphill, and well, there's a lot of trees up there, aren't there? There's the tee pad right there, so. Last one. Okay, Hex Rakuten, throwing with a little bit of hyzer. It's a very flippy disc anyway, so I knew it was going to stay the line. Got me around the trees to the left and then faded towards the basket. That's what you want to do. You want a left-hand dog leg and you're flicking. You want an understable disc thrown with some anhyzer, depending on how much you can turn it over. Now a 20-foot putt uphill. Okay, wrapping up this disc golf video at Schenley Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Check out all of my other disc golf videos, disc golf reviews of certain discs like the Destroyer, also the Viking, also the Valkyrie, Crank SS, and many other discs out there, mid-ranges as well, like the Cobra. Also, as you see on my shirt here, just Google Drivin Ivan and your favorite car if you like cars, and check out my car reviews. I'm here for the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix, as I said earlier, so I'll be shooting a video on that as well. Pretty much any car you like, I've probably shot a car review of it. I also have 20 cars. If you'd like to know what I drive, just Google, what does Drivin Ivan drive? But anyway, disc golf, there you have it. I hope you learned something today, and I hope you enjoyed this round with me. Once again, I'm Ivan Katz. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to me here on YouTube.
I'm Ivan Katz. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well. Also, subscribe to me here on YouTube and share my videos with your friends and family. I'm Ivan Katz.